Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry about every morning, Elizabeth, I come in and I get on the internet and it's no problem. And of course,
Well
if
done.
I have the meeting, then I get like, I'm not on the internet. And it's frustrating because I go to my network settings and it says that I'm on the internet, and yet, so.
How's your blood pressure?
Not good. I am being ravaged by
There we go.
allergies anyway. They're killing me.
Look who this is. Hello, Roseanne. And a new
Morning.
member.
Good morning. Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning.
Betty Monroe.
Morning, Ro.
Morning, everyone.
Hey, Suzanne.
Okay.
Good. We have a quorum. Jay Gustafaro called from Trinidad. So he won't be here.
Lucky him.
Be here. Susan, you are on mute. Susan Goodall.
I'm off mute.
There you are. Good. Cool. There's Roseanne. Looking tan. But should we get the ball rolling? Good. I'd like to open this meeting of the Gloucester Council on Aging. Today is Tuesday, April the 5th, 2022, and it's roughly 9:30 in the morning. We are meeting by remote participation. Consistent with Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, this meeting will be conducted by remote participation. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and listen to the meeting in real time and participate when necessary. I'd like to, first of all, before we actually go and sign in, I do want to make a formal welcome to Betty Monroe. We are just delighted to have you as a member of the Council on Aging, and your background is really suitable for being particularly helpful, but I hope you'll also find the experience here one where it lends itself to personal growth, and that you will try new things and be a joiner. We'd be delighted to have you along. It's really cool.
Thanks, Fred. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
starting,
Welcome.
Roseanne, would you sign in, please?
Pardon me?
Would you sign in, please?
Happening here.
There you are. Say your name, please. Just to signing in for
Rosie.
attendance.
Right. I just saw Safathia's name pop up, so I
Yeah.
didn't know what that meant. Okay. Roseanne Cody.
Good. Felicia,
Felicia Webb.
Rosalie,
Rosalina Castro.
Susan,
Susan Goodall.
Barry,
Barry McKay.
Rosie, you keep jumping around. What happened to Suzanne? There's Suzanne.
Suzanne Silvera.
Good. I'm Fred Cowan. Elise?
Lisa Nagra.
Good. And I'm pleased to welcome as a guest, we have Safathia Romeo Taken with us this morning. Good morning, Safathia.
Good morning. Thank you.
Delighted.
Good
See,
morning.
the first item on the agenda, oh, by the way, before I pass on, I want maybe you all saw it in the paper, Joe Lucido, who is on our masthead, although not attending today. I want to acknowledge his recent success that was mentioned in the paper. He's, I guess, been for a long time an on-call fighter in the town of Rockport, but he and a colleague have just completed an advanced training program of some 240 hours, a really serious training. So he's just an additional asset to the city of Gloucester by his very presence here. His ability to respond to emergencies in the broadest possible spectrum is now really seriously augmented. And on behalf of the Council on Aging, I want to congratulate on behalf of all of us. Barry, that must have a familiar ring to you, going through training like that.
I was very happy to see Joe get that certification. It's just one more dimension to Joe, but
Yeah.
if you know Joe from his work within the city structure,
Yeah.
Joe is a consummate professional at whatever he does. And I just hope he keeps going with what he's pursuing. So good for him.
Yeah, exactly. That's my thought. Okay, I'd like to vote for the approval of the minutes of March 1st, 2022 as written, or any changes, corrections, or additions? Not, may I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve the minutes of March 1st.
Thank you, Barry. Is there a second?
Second.
Who's that, please?
Second. Roseanne.
Thank you, Roseanne. Any further discussion? We have to do this by roll call. Betty, the vote.
Yes.
Roseanne,
Yes.
Suzanne,
Yes.
Felicia,
I have to abstain. I wasn't present.
thank you. Susan,
Wasn't present either.
thank you. Barry,
Yes.
Rosalie,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Thank you. I don't know the count of that, but it passes. Update on board members' activity. Matt, before we start going around the table, I'd like to ask Safathia if there's anything particular on your mind that you'd like to hear about.
Thank you. My video is not working, so I apologize to everyone else. I just want to say thank you, everyone. So I can stop the rumors. I had to take a little bit of break on Fridays right now to get my whole schedule in order. So I didn't want people to think I'm stopping Shine or I'm doing Shine privately or anything else. So this way the board I wanted to update the board. I usually I have been for 25 years on the Rose Baker Senior Center, starting from Tompkins Building at the Middle Street where the Y is, and until actually this Friday. I have to take a couple of weeks off just to make sure to give Kathleen a break. It's difficult. We're there, we're supposed to be there a couple hours. It can't. We're picking up a lot of seniors who actually called the phone call for Joe Namath. I want to slap Joe Namath if I see him, because everyone calls when they're talking to Joe Namath. They're changing.
Safathia, sometimes people don't change, just like you.
Yeah, I'm not going to. I'm sorry. The fact is that I have seniors I can't change back. I have to go do like 3 multiple different kinds of applications. Thank God we have Prescription Advantage. So that's a one-time switch. But, they pick up the phone, and you have to understand a lot of my seniors who can't hear, and they'll say, well, can you hear me now? And they'll say no. And then they'll speak louder. Can you hear me now? And when they say yes, it's recorded. They said, yes, they want all this. They give them all the information. And they automatically leave the insurance that they have in Massachusetts and go on anyone that they're selling. And the fact is that a lot of their primary cares don't take it. So it's been a mess. And we've been we'll go to 11 to 2:30. We've been there 11 to 5. And I really want to thank Elise, and especially to Mike Feeney, who actually, we close at 4, but they're there extra all the time. So thank you, Elise, and please thank Mike for me, because you know how the schedule is. It's crazy. And so we're going to take a little time off, figure out what we can do. So when you have Shine, Julie's actually in training. It doesn't mean I'm going to abandon anyone. It doesn't mean I'm not going to do the open enrollment. It doesn't mean I'm not going to get recertifications and all of that on my license update. I am. We just need to take a little bit of break.
Okay.
I have never taken a vacation break. So just so you know, okay? I am Shine. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to change. I just need a break.
Thank you. Good. Roseanne, what's on your mind?
Nothing special other than the flowers plant sale we're doing.
Yes.
And that's going forward, and that's expected to take place May 14th. And the flowers will be the same quality we had last year. So I'm looking forward to that. I know we have quite a few return people. Rosalie probably can add more. She's seen a lot of people in different places, wherever she's gone, and they've all made comments. So
okay. When are you coming back north?
Pardon me?
When are you coming back north?
May 10th.
May 10th. Okay, cool.
And the sales May 14th.
You hit the ground running. I can't say I'm surprised, but just there you are. Yeah. Suzanne, what's on your mind?
Oh, nothing new. Just glad it's spring.
Oh, good. Happy. Felicia, you're on mute.
We received an email this morning. I received the email that there will be additional funding released for that taxi program we have. The announcement for funding is not going to come out till May.
Yeah.
We probably won't get funding if we're awarded the grant until August, but there is going to be an additional round. So once we get the grant application and we look at it, if we're eligible, we will reapply. Obviously, we'll reach out to Elise to figure out, amounts and ridership and whatnot.
Yeah.
But that just came out. I sent it over to you, Elise, so you should have a copy somewhere in your email on that.
Yeah, I just saw that. I had to get back. I had to do the restart and get on the internet, but I did just see that email is there, Felicia. So I'll look at that afterwards. Thank you. That's great news.
Yeah, and the other thing that we are doing is CADA is looking at a fare adjustment for our service.
Yes.
Right now for a fixed route, if you're in Gloucester, mostly it's $1 one way for full fare, and it's 50 cents for seniors. If you go Gloucester Magnolia, Gloucester West Gloucester, or Gloucester Rockport, between those, it's $1.25 full fare and 60 cents for seniors. So we are going to public meeting tomorrow night, and we're collecting comments on standardizing the fare to $1 one way on the big bus and 50 cents for seniors on the big bus. That'll lower the ADA dial-a-ride to
Yeah.
$2 flat across the board. We're not going to have the 25-cent or the 50-cent difference between the neighborhoods in Gloucester and Gloucester Rockport. So that's
Very good.
just moving forward on CADA's front.
Very good.
Cool.
Cool. Anything further?
No.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, I want to comment on that. I really kudos to you guys with get the price of gas and being able to figure to accommodate the seniors. I think that's a fabulous move.
It
Really.
is. It
Kudos
is.
to you
I mean,
guys.
fixed income, and it really doesn't make sense for us to charge a premium to go to Magnolia, West Gloucester, or across the town line to Rockport. So it will kind of make us all on the same footing.
Very good. Susan Goodall, what's on your mind?
A couple things. Elise, I saw that you were talking to Star Market about that app that they have that gives the special discount. And I wondered how that came out.
I haven't been able to do anything on that, Susan, unfortunately, and much to my dismay, I discovered that Stop and Shop is heading in that direction too with an
Yeah.
app to get the sale
Yeah.
prices. So, no, I've just been consumed by other things, but that's very, very close on my radar to reach out to now both of them and see what they're.
Yeah,
prepared to do.
I was going to point out that Stop and Shop did. If you were successful with Star, I thought you might move on.
Turn your cannon around, yes.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
The other thing is I was at the boulevard yesterday with the dogs and there were people playing bocce, and that made me remember that we still have that court reserved. So it'd be nice to get that going again if we can.
Yeah, we should be able to get bocce going this year. We were on the, it was kind of, it was marginal last year. It would have been, it was something that I toyed with trying to get going, but there were other things that were priorities, especially where we had just opened in June. But now we're going and we should be able to get bocce going. That sounds great.
Okay. Betty, I think you see now the gist of what this is. It's that this is what's on people's minds that isn't necessarily on the agenda. So anything you'd like to bring up before we move on?
Well, Fred, I'm just going to follow up with you a little bit. When we had our conversation on St. Patrick's Day about the pickleball courts,
Yes.
the possibility of getting some courts outside. As I told you, I have been playing pickleball at the Y, and it is a pretty senior group.
Yes.
And everybody's looking for a place to go outside to play. So I did get in touch with Jennifer Donnelly.
Yes.
And she gave me some contact information to maybe move forward. I've talked with some people at the Y to see if there's a possibility to find a space to get a couple of courts. So that's kind of where that's at, and that's kind of been on my mind.
Okay.
For the
Good. I
last
think
couple of weeks.
going forward, I'm going to ask that be on a regular agenda item that will just carry forward month to month until we get some conclusion on that. Thank you
Okay.
for shepherding that. Barry, what's on your mind?
I want to follow up on something Safathia mentioned. Joe Namath raises my hackles also, but the other one that really catches my eye is the number of reverse mortgage solicitations on TV that people, especially seniors, are seeing. And the strings that are attached to reverse mortgages can really hurt a senior, especially seniors where husband and wife are still living together. One senior takes the reverse mortgage, and that person then passes, leaves the other person without a home to live in. So seniors many times don't understand what the circumstances of those mortgages are.
Yes.
Going to the pickleball, this intrigues me because in my neighborhood, there's a local retired doctor who has a court, and I notice every summer now there's a group setting up in his tennis court, and I'm sure doctor encourages it. And it doesn't seem like there's a lot of setup I've watched them. It is all seniors, which encourages me also. I'm wondering if, talking to the city structure, if people were to bring it and take it down with them or have a place to stash it, there's not a lot of equipment. It's simply a net, lower than a traditional net. And watch out for those hard balls.
Yes.
All right, well, we're going to spend a lot more time on pickleball, I'm sure.
Those are the two things that immediately hit my mind.
Cool.
And
Thank you.
just to quickly before we're off of pickleball, I get emails from my senior center, the database program that we use here to manage everything.
Yeah.
And they talk about like trends that they see in senior center activities. Pickleball is the fastest growing trend at councils on aging among seniors. So we're on to something there. Thank you for bringing that up, Betty.
Yes.
Thank you. Rosalie's just disappeared and she's the last one coming up. Here you are, Rosalie. You're on mute. Good. What's on your mind?
My first thing is, when can we have meetings in person? I hate having meetings at home. I have so many interruptions. I mean, people don't, he doesn't realize, I mean, he's throwing things around, it's like,
This is a city decision.
well,
decision.
is it April 18th? Is that what the mayor said?
I
thought that's what the email said, when he said that we had to have Zoom
At least,
meetings.
could you double check on that?
I will. I'll look into that, Rosalie. I think, right, that the deal is that we have to have in place complete hybrid capabilities. That's my understanding, but I'll talk to IT and talk to the mayor's
Yeah,
office. And
Yeah,
see what
Rosalie,
they're-
it's an IT question as much as anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I have a question about the medical rides. When is our next meeting, Elise?
We don't have one scheduled yet, Rosalie, but
That's on the agenda, isn't it?
it's on the agenda, I believe.
That's
Yeah,
on the
we should-
agenda, so we will get to that.
Okay, and the
Yeah.
grant that Felicia talked about, that's going to affect the medical rides program that we've been talking about, correct?
It's for the medical rides program, yeah. So it looks like
Right.
instead of, it'll help, we'll still have a gap, I think, before we get to that grant, it sounds like. But yeah, but that's a good
Okay.
thing that we can count on that.
Let's carry that
Okay.
on the agenda.
All right, that's
Anything
it.
further, Rosalie?
No, that's it.
Cool. But I've asked everybody. Okay. Let's see. Elise, is there anything new with remote programming in either Magnolia or Lanesville?
No, not yet, Fred.
Okay. Anything to add to the COVID-19 update? Anything specific about COVID in the building or how we're running? Elise?
No, we're still seeing it, we're seeing just a mix of people doing what they're comfortable with. Some folks are wearing masks, some folks are not, and everything, everybody seems to be comfortable here. So no comments, no complaints related to COVID.
Good.
Just
Going around the table, anybody have any comments on COVID that they'd like to make as it relates to the senior center? Okay, hearing none, moving on. Susan Goodall and the webpage and resource guide.
Well, it really is more than the resource guide now. I had an email with Brian, and he's still working on getting the page changed, which is something he's doing part-time. And when he does, he's going to train Michael. So Michael will be doing all the posting of what we want posted on that website.
Cool.
What I sent out to you is a proposal that I've sent to the working group of what I'd like to see us do under the ongoing programs. And I organized it by the type of program, because in the newsletter and on the calendar, we have it by day. And so this would give them a way to look for the type of activity that they are interested in. And most of these are programs that keep going on, so it doesn't have to be updated frequently by Michael when we get there. So Ryan's asked me to hold all postings until he gets it worked out with Michael and gets the page set up. So it's in the works.
Okay, so do you want additional signage somehow in the lobby because you can't do it on the webpage? Particularly, we might do it in that bridge period.
I'm not sure I understand the question, Fred. Could you?
Well, just that it said, if people don't have this as a resource to go to looking online, should we therefore have additional signage somehow in the lobby?
That would be nice. That would make it easier. I think it's hard to find if you want to play cards. You've got to go through the whole everyday thing to find it. And I just thought that having it this way, you could locate what you wanted to do
Yeah,
more
agree.
quickly. And so we could certainly post that on the bulletin boards.
Cool. Great.
Elise, is that all right with you?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking was the whiteboards. I think the whiteboards, when it comes, we'll have plenty of room to maybe group things differently, by activity, but then also by day and stuff. So
That was my point. I'm going around the table. Has anybody got any additions to practice to what I sent around that came from Susan Goodall? Any edits? or
Thought it
anything
was a
like
great idea.
that? Cool. Thank you, Suzanne. Okay. Let's see.
Fred Safathir, I think's had her hand up.
Really? I don't see that on my side.
Yeah, I see it on mine.
Yeah.
But she's muted.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt, I have changed.
Who is that?
I know, and it's soft spoken, but I just wanted to let you know that Elise and I were talking about it. So Elise, I did do some investigating for you on the Shaws and Stop and Shop, because I know
Okay.
you've been busy. So we were discussing it, and because we figured we needed 1,000 volunteers to help them, because you need emails, you need the iPhones, and you need all of these different kinds of phones that they have. And so when I called corporate for Shaws, it's one thing they do. Their flyers are different, and someone programs it because each Shaw's is different from each location and city. It's not like Demoulas, it's one flyer at all. But the fact is that the app that comes out and all of that mostly is the same, and it gets generated. Unfortunately, they can't do anything of having coupons. If enough complains, and I think we have to go like a petition through the state of Massachusetts in order to get that change. And there are council on agents that are all complaining, and we let Stop and Shop know that too. They're going to lose a lot of people. And to me, I told them it's like a fraud, because people see the things in the flyer, do not understand. They go and purchase them, and they're paying regular price. So how many seniors, especially on Railroad Ave, are really, they come and they show us the receipt that they're going like, I didn't want to pay all of this. And it's very complicated. And usually sometimes the teller will give them a for you, but you now have to click on the program. So we're trying to figure it out if there's like one app that somebody can just go on and click everything and all seniors can do it, but it's hard because you have to give them, only one person can get one code. So it's not right now feasible, but we're all fighting it, where there's so many people that are actually fighting it. So I didn't want you to think that Elise didn't do anything on it. We were discussing it, and I did say, well, I'll look into it. So she probably forgot, and I did at least. So I didn't want you to think that I didn't. And Stop and Shop, same thing. We're working. Actually, the Attorney General, someone said suggest her, but right now, where she's running, and I hope she wins for governor. But right now we all are setting up emails, and it's like like we did for the city of Gloucester Shine. We have Gloucester Shine, one email, one password. We might have to do that at our own location and figure out how some seniors can do it, but it's not going to be fair to all.
Safathia, you
And-
may also remember the Deb Goldberg, who I believe is the treasurer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
her,
good,
her maiden name is
Yeah.
Rab, and that's the family of, is it Stop and Shop?
oh, great. I forgot. That's great. I will contact her. I have her
Yeah.
cell, so I will
Yeah.
contact her. Thank you so much.
Deborah Rab is
Right.
is directly tied to a supermarket. She might be a big help.
And first, I want to say to Felicia, that's great about the Cater buses. I've been doing some applications for that dial-a-ride for the handicap, so that's great. I see that actually being generated, so that's good. Because a lot of them want to know how they can do it. They can't wait, so that's fantastic. It's a simple application. So for the bilingual, I've been helping them. That's really good. Thank you very much, especially with the gas. I think I'm going to be taking the Cater bus quite often too. But the fact is, I'm going to sign off. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
And Barry, you are right. People are doing reverse mortgages and don't even know what it is. And they're signing, figuring they're going to have a little bit of extra money and they can leave it to their kids and not realizing. I had 3 seniors that happened to, and there's nothing left to give them. So we have to maybe in the future, when you can have a lot of presentations, do a presentation about reverse mortgage. That's
That's a
one thing.
great
that-
idea. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you,
I'm signing
Sabathia.
off. I gotta go to work. Everyone have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You too. Thanks.
Yes, Sabathia. Let's see, Elise, anything to do with the virtual senior center?
The Virtual Senior Center, we're still trying to figure out what we're gonna do for kind of April and May special programming, but Jennifer Lee got some really good footage from people doing their backyard growers, plots over at Burnham's Field, planting some stuff, and she's got some good content. We just have to kind of figure out when it's gonna be on premiere on April and May, and we try to pair it up with a special meal. So nothing that I can kind of say right now that we've nailed down, but we're working on some good
Okay.
spring theme things.
For Betty's benefit, would you give her a thumbnail sketch of what the senior, the virtual
Sure.
senior center is?
So yeah, Betty, when we had to be closed, that was an idea that we had. So the Virtual Senior Center is a collaboration between the 4 Cape Ann Councils on Aging, Gloucester, Rockport, Manchester, and Essex, 1623 Studios, and Senior Care. The Age and Dementia Friendly initiative kind of got involved, and then they brought in some other folks from Senior Care. So what the idea was when we were closed was, okay, if we can't have seniors here in the senior center, we can bring senior center programming to them in their homes by owning. So 1623 gave us channel 67, which is now Cape Ann's Virtual Senior Center channel. There's some other programming like, at different times of the day, but most of the day we kind of own that channel. And we try to duplicate and bring into people's living rooms some of the types of things that they enjoyed here at the senior center. So we have exercise opportunities, entertainment. We try to do something special around like holidays. A lot of times we try to pair it with with a special meal. When something new premieres, we'll have a special meal that we could have that people can either do grab and go or get home delivered. So sometimes things are on theme, like a St. Patrick's Day theme. We had a St. Patrick's sing along of Irish songs, and last year we did a nice baseball theme thing for opening day, but this year because of the strike that got a little messed up because opening day got messed up. But yeah, so we're looking at kind of spring themed things that we can get on there to encourage people to get outside, and also we're looking at some stuff special for May because May is Older Americans Month, so we want to make sure that we have some programming on there that somehow speaks to that.
Cool.
Okay.
Good project. Let's see, Elise, any progress made on the program guide with 1623?
No, except that when I had a meeting with Ryan about the redesign of the tech center,
Yes.
Ryan had talked about the fact that there's also, in addition to the fact that this building's going to be rewired as soon as the roof gets done, the city is making some kind of huge upgrade that involves City Hall, and 1623 is going to derive a great benefit from that. Fred, I'm sure you know all about that.
Yeah.
Ryan said that should be our opportunity, that we should take that opportunity to leverage that to say to 1623, hey, we're I'm going to speak very, very loosely right now. Hey, we're doing you a huge solid, but like
Yes.
to the tune of millions of dollars. Ryan said, the least you can do is kind of work with us on getting that some kind of program guide up.
Good.
So he suggested that we leverage that opportunity to kind of get 1623 to put a little more effort into helping us out with coming up with a creative solution on that. So
I will carry the ball on that one. I'll
That's
take care of
great.
that. That's
That's
good.
great.
Because also 1623 has asked, and I believe will be connecting to the city's internet service, which will enable 1623 to drop the one they have, which is slow. And the city's is some 20 times faster than what the average person can pick up. So
that's what he said.
it's a double advantage for them to be co-op.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Let's see. Just that we had a smash luncheon on St. Patrick's Day on March 17th. That was such fun. I have a brief clip from my cell phone just to remind myself what a good time people had. It was really cool.
Yeah, it really was. The food, at first when we went into throwing the parties and I kind of wondered, is the food going to feel special enough, the brown bag lunch? But it is, like, everybody's loving it. I'm getting great feedback on it. And I thought that the food that day, we had a nice corned beef sandwich, Roseanne, and a cold cannon soup that, when you got a soup that Ken Duckworth had something to do with, of course, that's going to be good. And everybody just really, the feedback was tremendous. We had a great time for that St. Patrick's Day party. But you were missed, Roseanne. I can't be at a party without thinking about you, Roseanne, you know what I mean? And Rosalie, of course, too. It didn't seem doesn't seem
I
the same
heard
without
more than once,
Betty.
where is Roseanne?
Yes, but Betty was amazing. Betty came in and she's like, hey, I'm Betty. And I was like, yeah, here, get to work. And she was such a good sport about it. So thank you, Betty. It was
It
fun.
was great. I really enjoyed myself, and it was nice to meet a bunch of the seniors that were there, and I had a great afternoon.
Yeah, and we
Good.
had, Roseanne, we had good press in the paper too. A nice photograph, two
Yeah.
ladies.
I'm glad Betty said how much fun it is to be there and interact with all of the people there, because it really is a lot of fun and everyone's so appreciative, and it just works. It's a good time.
And we had more than 100 because Open Door had plans for 100 and they provided, it was novel. They did it actually with 2 packages, one with sandwich and those things to be sure that things were kept proper temperature, and then a second bag which had all the extra stuff that goes with it, and cutlery and napkins and stuff. And so there were exactly 100 of those, and we had to scramble because there was extra food, but not for the other bag, because there were people who came in who waited in the lobby, and as tables turned over, people were able, so we fed a lot of people out there. It was very, very
No,
festive.
Fred, you're saying how the Open Door goes the extra yard every single time. I think we need to send them a very gracious letter showing our appreciation. That's long overdue. I just never thought about it.
Yep.
But they just go way out of their way. And it's like Elise said, that soup is over the top. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
I wonder, maybe a letter to the editor. I wonder if that would be, what do you think about a letter to the editor, Fred? I think anytime we do anything that's gonna be in the press, I would wanna run that by the mayor's office and see if they're okay with that idea, but I mean, I think we could do both. It's not an either or. We send a nice letter to them.
Yes.
And then I
Yeah.
talk to the mayor's office and see how they would feel about me doing, or one of us doing a letter to the editor to publicly let the public know how great this partnership is, that everybody's enjoying it down here.
Very good. That's progress.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you, Roseanne. Always a good shot. Let's see. And then we had a second tour of Element Care, the PACE program, where the mayor joined us, and Elise, who else was with us that day? Felicia was there because she'd been in Florida.
Yep, Felicia was
Felicia, why
there.
don't you tell us about the tour, please?
Me?
We
Oh,
did,
Felicia, yeah.
Felicia.
yeah, you, me?
Yes, please.
Okay. We had a tour of the entire facility. It was very nice to see all the people interacting, and it's all kind of self-contained. They don't have to go elsewhere for care. Everyone there watches them and they communicate amongst each other. It's a very nice facility. It really is.
And one of the most attractive parts that I keep reminding myself is that it has a maximum census of 150 people. So that if you have more than that, they do not overload staff. They don't change the culture. They don't have 150 quite yet. I think it's 128, if I remember
Yeah.
the
like
number. So that
110.
they are recruiting, but they have a board certified internal medicine physician who specializes in gerontology there, who has therefore a practice caseload. You talk about a luxury for a physician, a maximum of 150 people. It's just the sense of that place. Rosalie, you had the same feeling of its cleanliness and just everything really on top.
Yes, and I like the idea is because it's so small, the doctor knows every patient. It's
Yeah.
nice. It's a nice personal feel. And then there were several nurses there and they know the patients as well. And they had a physical therapist. So it's really like a nice family setting that everyone knows everyone and they know the medication. I mean, I wouldn't have any problem going there. And if I had to send one of my loved ones, I would have a good feeling. And everything is clean. The kitchen's immaculate. They play games. They just do a lot for the seniors. I mean, we're very fortunate to have that program here.
Val Gilman was there with us that day, and I heard her say, as well as the mayor said, boy, I wish I'd known about this relatively recently with Val with her mom and the mayor with his mother, that PACE could have been a big help to both of those families. But as a lot of federal programs, they invest extraordinary sums in order to provide a service, and then they don't spend one dime on public relations. There's rarely a line item for them to actually really work to tell people that they're there. So,
Yeah.
and the fact that they have a marketing person who has to go around beating the bushes to bring it up to 150 is, you think it would be oversold, but it's
I
not.
know.
Yeah, so
Go
I
ahead.
just
Yes,
wanted
Elaine.
to, I wanted to just mention now that, the theme of Older Americans Month, every May when it's Older Americans Month, they always pick a theme. And the theme this year is, aging our way, I think. So it's about like choices to age in place, choices to age in the community. And the theme of it speaks really well to the model that Element Care provides and the model that they use and what it is that they enable seniors to do. So I see some good opportunities there to collaborate with Carol. I've already talked to Carol Palazola. Senior Care wants to come in and they're going to sponsor a lunch one day in May so that they can talk to seniors about the options they provide for aging in place. So
Good.
hopefully I can give Carol a day where Element Care can maybe sponsor a lunch
Awesome.
and they can let them know that Element Care is another option for them as well.
Yep.
And Jennifer Lee will be filming all of this.
Yeah, I haven't talked to her about it yet, but that does make sense.
If she
But
was
yeah,
looking for extra time, and
Yeah.
that's a perfect stuff, and then put that on 1623.
yeah,
Cool,
that sounds great. Yeah.
great. Going around the table, anybody want to comment on that subject before we move on? Okay, the non-emergency medical rides program, here it is on the agenda. So anything you want to add to that?
So the working group, thank you. I can't thank Barry and Rosalie and Felicia enough. It's just the working group has been so great in divvying up the work and doing our homework and putting our heads together. So the way we left it, I believe, is that I owe you guys that schedule right now. That's where it stands, is that the working group, and you guys jump in and please correct me if I'm forgetting something or getting something wrong. But my understanding is that we did an investigation. We looked at the way some other COAs are handling transportation in general and medical rides in particular. We realized that for a number of reasons, what we need to do right now, because of speed, we really just need to find a way to fund the existing model. A lot of the other senior centers who have huge transportation programs, there are a number of reasons why that does not make sense for us. And the working group was all in agreement on that. Basically all centered around the fact that we have such a strong partner in CADA here. We have a great regional transit authority. So that makes us different than some of these other towns that have these huge transportation programs.
Yes.
So in the interest of speed, I think that the way we left it with the working group was that we need to kind of, the fastest thing would be to ask the Friends to fund the continuing model for a certain amount of time. That a little amount of funding might get us through to August or whenever Felicia's new grant round might come through. But we also talked about the fact that the mayor's office has asked me to provide a proposal for the use of the van, so that we would maybe hire 2 part-time people that even between the 2 part-timers still wouldn't add up to 1 full-time salary. So 2, that would maybe equal 25 to 30 hours a week, where we use the van to take a little bit of the load off of the model that's used now, where we're using the livery companies, because there's a cost associated with that. But knowing that the van's not going to be able to completely take away the need for the livery companies, because we can't get people to schedule their appointments for the days that the van's going to be able to go out of town and bring people.
Yep.
But we can use that van to create a hybrid model where we're using some of the delivery service for some of the need, but we're going to take some of that, we're going to lighten the load from that by using the van for some of the need. And that'll at least get us kind of, so that the near-term solution is stick with the existing model, just find another way to fund it, the Friends, and also to further pursue Val's suggestion that we ask this, the city council for some funding for that. But then the next step beyond that, hopefully, and this is all up in the air too, because it has to go through the budget process, is that that's what I'm very busy working on right now, is it started with gathering some data, and Felicia, all that, the data that you provided about ridership for seniors on the go. So trying to, and that was the other thing too, was because Seniors on the Go was going away, we thought that the van could also be a little bit of what Seniors on the Go used to provide. So that's what I've been tasked with providing to the mayor's office, and then putting a budget around that. But where the van is a little bit of what Seniors on the Go used to do, a little bit of medical rides, and a little bit of what the van has done and done well, which is bring seniors for out-of-town shopping trips, which is the kind of stuff that they really don't get from CADA. to go to like Walmart out of town, to go to the North Shore Mall, to go to Big Lots. So that's where the working group left it, is that I owe you guys that schedule. I finally have a schedule roughed out after collecting data from Felicia, from Seniors on the Go, from our own medical rides coordinator, meetings with her. I've got a schedule roughed out that I will send you guys today. Rosalie, Felicia, and Barry, I'll send that proposal that I have that resulted from me getting all that data from those sources. And I'm still in the process of trying to put some numbers around that so that I can get those numbers. I had thought the last time we talked, sorry, I'm so froggy, you guys. My allergies are killing me. I had thought that I needed to present that budget to the mayor's office prior to my big budget meeting with the treasurer on Monday, but I don't. I had a meeting with Jill yesterday and she's fine with me just bringing whatever that budget is to the meeting with John Dunn on Monday. So we'll see where all of that goes. But in short, and I'll talk to the working group, I'll send you guys that schedule and we'll plan our next meeting so that we can talk about it in depth. But in short, it's like a couple days a week where it leaves very early and goes out of town for medical appointments to places like, Danvers, Leahy, Cummings Center, Beverly Hospital. There's a place in Peabody where some folks get some services. So it goes out of town a couple days a week for medical rides. Another couple days a week, it goes around and scoops people up to bring them for grocery shopping and some of that stuff Seniors on the Go used to do. And then once a week on Wednesday, we have something like Walmart, Big Lots, a mystery trip, North Shore Mall. So that's kind of what I'm working on. And that's the schedule that I'll send out to the working group and we'll get that further fine tuned.
At least,
Can I
I'm
ask
sorry.
you,
Roseanne, go ahead.
I wanted to know if I could be CC'd on that email because I do drive the bus, if you just include me on that schedule.
Absolutely, Roseanne. Yeah,
Thank you.
Elise, Barry made a motion at our last meeting to petition the city council for an allotment of $20,000 to defray costs on this. Do you need that more than that being simply published in the minutes that we've just approved as the memo to city council, or does that need to be pulled out and presented in some more organized fashion?
that needs to go through the mayor's office. So I looked into that. I thought, my first thought was, okay, this is just a procedural thing. How do I get it in front of the city council? I reached out to the city clerk's office,
Yeah,
just thinking that procedure is them, you know what I mean? But what I found out from everyone just kind of, everybody said the same thing. It all has to go through the mayor's office. So
Okay.
I have to get the mayor's office to support requesting that from the city council. And I also found out that even if we get it to the city council, even if it goes through budget and finance, they approve it, it all goes through, then at the end of the day, there's still the question of, okay, where's the money coming from?
Yes.
And I have to kind of would work with John Dunn on that. That's why it needs to start with the mayor's office, would be for them to be so involved with that after step of working with John Dunn to figure out where the money's coming from.
okay, well, at least from an official standpoint, it's in detail in the minutes, and we've just approved that. So that motion, I know that pass on to you, which
So,
then goes to
right,
the-
so I can bring those minutes to the mayor's office and
Okay.
those will factor into that discussion.
Cool. Anything further on this subject before we move on? Okay, Barry, we're going to be talking about using the senior center Zoom platform as a polling system.
I asked to have that put on the agenda last month, and the minutes were a little bit deceiving, that I was implying that the Zoom platform can be used for strictly polling. What I was suggesting was using a Zoom meeting where we as a board develop a series of questions that we can put to seniors, possibly through the newsletter, passed out at the senior center, and then have a Zoom meeting where we basically do a listening post where we frame up the questions that have already been asked, but ask for input from the seniors. One of the things that struck me as we've been doing the working group, I looked at those same numbers from Felicia, and I recognize that 2% of about 2% of the seniors are using those rides. Well, how many more people would like to have rides out there? And we don't have any way to gauge it. We need some way to gauge the use and demand for the services to help push the transportation program. So I'm going to leave it to sit on the agenda. Again, it would be develop a series of questions for seniors that they could review and think about, do a Zoom meeting, keeping in mind that Zoom is not just what we're doing here in front of computer screens. People can call in if they understand. We may even have to do a briefing as to how people call in. It sounds easy, but it isn't. And the protocol of people, seniors calling in and listening, as opposed to jumping into the middle of the conversation, it might take some time to develop it. But my whole point is using a Zoom meeting with seniors telling us what the needs are that are out there. One other thing I want to throw in on the non-emergency transportation program.
Yes.
Part of our conversation that's important is to know is that our program is one component of a group of partners. We have CADA as one partner, and we realize that we may have to do some public education on CADA has these two programs, and this is available to you, and through referrals from the senior center also. When the people call in, have you contacted CADA for that trip? Because it's right around, it's right here in Gloucester. And the other one is the Medicare transportation program for medical transports, non-emergency medical transports. They have a program for anyone that is on Medicaid to be transported. It is a cumbersome program, but it's still a part of what we should be using as referrals. And I think we'll build that, that'll be built in as we go on, that on receipt of a call, the person can be referred to that if they have Medicaid. Thus, again, we're then able to siphon off the bus and use it for what I would call enrichment activities that we saw around the area, of going off to the malls, of going off to an event at Danbusport where they have a luncheon and entertainment, which they have every couple months. So again, a lot more going on too, that I'm just raising those issues so everybody knows the depth of what's been going on.
Susan.
I was just thinking about your polling and the Zoom meeting. Is it a way that we could do a hybrid on that? So maybe have a town hall type meeting in the cafeteria room, the big room,
Yeah.
and then have people also on Zoom, because for a lot of seniors, Zoom is not something they're really comfortable with.
Right, but this is exactly why we are going to be improving the audiovisual in the Great Hall in order to enable just this sort of thing to happen. But also, and I think that there's been a good tutorial as a result of all the discussion with the zoning stuff, that, for example, Val in Ward 4 will have a meeting with 150 people in the audience. That's just unheard of until people finally taught each other in order to be able to participate in a subject that was important to them. So that I think, Barry, we may find that a lot more people than we expect are very familiar with working on Zoom and calling in and protocol and all of that, just because we've asked them for the last 2 years to participate in local issues in local government remotely.
But Susan raises a good issue. It may require the offer of the board sitting down with a group. We'd probably have to post it at the center once we get beyond the restrictions of Zoom right now.
Oh, I agree with you.
I agree with Susan.
Okay,
Can I
you were gonna
ask,
say?
is this all for polling to find out what they feel the services should be?
We can use it for anything we so choose, but the current issue right now is transportation. And I'd like to see a little bit more, two things, a little bit more depth of the numbers of people. And as we've talked about also, we need a few, I'm going to use the term gotchas, of people who are isolated seniors who can't get to, and they haven't been able to figure out how to get to, and they're postponing medical treatments. And there are probably some of those cases, those types of stories, and especially if they're willing to tell them themselves, are what makes it easier to sell the funding that we're going to be seeking. But we've been signaled by the mayor's office, and we've been signaled by the council president. We're in a really good position right now to seek funding.
Yes.
So
Barry, the first thing I would like to make a couple of suggestions.
Yeah.
The first thing I would suggest is contacting Senior Care. They obviously can't divulge names, but they certainly can talk to people and give them the information so that they may be able to partake of some of these services that are out there. And they're going to know because they have people in the trenches. So if that home health aide sees these people are isolated, they're going to be the best advocate for them.
Yeah.
And then my other suggestion, we have a captive audience with bingo and with cribbage. You can print hard copies of a questionnaire, so to speak, and these people are right there. You give them a pencil and you're going to get 100 and some odd opinions and ideas right then and there.
Good idea.
And I disagree, Fred, that I do believe there are more people because of the Zooming and COVID, but I still feel when I go to, like, when you were at the St. Patrick's thing, how many people do you think in that room actually have a computer, could go on a computer? I know there's many people that live in Central Grammar.
Yeah.
And they're young seniors and they don't have computers, but they do have 2 computers that people can use down in the function room.
Yeah.
And they're not used that often.
No.
So I don't know. I think the best way is hard copies. We have, how many people, Elise can answer, how many people come in and buy the trash bags? Hand them a nice polling sheet and they're going to give you some feedback. And it's not necessarily the people that are coming in there, but they may know someone that needs a certain service.
Yes.
Those are my thoughts.
Elise?
So I'm hearing a couple things. So I just want to kind of circle back for a second to the non-emergency medical rides, just to finish that, because Barry brought up a great point that I forgot to mention, is that the working group also discussed that we need to do some kind of forum where we do a presentation about transportation options, where we can let seniors know that if you are on Mass Health, you can go to your doctor and ask for a prescription for transportation, and that gets you the ability to use like taxi vouchers. So we, in general, just that we need to do a forum where we explain what the different transportation options are. And we had also talked about maybe doing some group trips, like if seniors are uncomfortable with using the CADA system, because that just seems a little bit scary to just be waiting there. You see that, okay, this bus is supposed to be here at a certain time, but maybe we all go as a group on a CADA trip to like Rockport and just get them to see what it's really like. So there was an education component to what the working group has discussed as well that I had forgotten to mention. And thank you, Barry, for bringing that up. So then there's that. Then the second thing is polling and information gathering and trying to get feedback, survey data. A lot of COA directors that when I'm in forums with, with my Zoom screen is all full of other COA directors. This is an ongoing thing that everybody seems to wrestle with, is trying to find out, trying to get good survey data. Like I had put something in the newsletter before asking people what kind of music they like, what kind of things they'd like to see. I got like 7 back. And I sweetened the deal by offering like a raffle for that, and still only got like maybe 7 to 9, which is okay. I mean, 7 to 9 is 7 to 9. I think that it's good to ask the folks who are the regulars who already come in for cribbage and bingo what kind of other things they might like to see. But to me, that's not the audience that I'm the most concerned of. I'm the most concerned with the seniors that we don't know, that don't come in. Why don't you come in? What might entice you to come in? And that's an ongoing thing that a lot of COA directors struggle with, is how to get that question answered. I think we need to take a really multi-pronged approach with it all, because I somewhat agree with Fred. I somewhat agree with you too, Roseanne. I don't think it's an either or. I know tons of seniors who are using Zoom. You know, they were resistant to it at first, and now they're using it. There's still a lot who are still just not, they're not going to use it. They're not liking it. Maybe they can use it, but they don't like it. That's why it is, like Fred said, it's important that we continue to push for the big audio visual upgrade, so that we can have an in-person session, and also, you know, zoom it out and have like hybrid technical hybrid capabilities. I don't think that us trying to have some kind of like a town hall style meeting should necessarily wait for that, though. That's something that's been cooking around in the back of my head too, is to just kind of have there be a listening session, so that the seniors can hear from me, so that it stops. Like the rumor mill is crazy. The stuff that makes its way up to my office that I hear is being like said is wildly not accurate. A lot of the times it's like that game of telephone where it's just, you know, it becomes terribly wrong what's going on. But to maybe have like a listening session, but as I continue to kind of chew on that and evolve my thinking on that, I think not only with that, I would want to see that in addition to it being a listening session, and maybe we could have a component where we collect a physical piece of data, a piece of paper where we let people leave with it and bring it back or fill it out on the spot or whatever. But I also think that I would like to see a component to that. And maybe this all needs to be on next month's agenda to try to put some more meat around these bones. But I would like to kick that off with us telling them, you know, putting on a really good presentation of this is what's in store. This is what I spend a lot of my time working on, because this is what ways we're trying to make this place better. This is the why behind some of the things that has you all scratching your heads. Why can't we go in the kitchen anymore? What the heck's going on with that? Where we, you know, make sure that we provide a good amount of education to answer some of those questions proactively before they even start peppering me with them, and then see what questions are still remain for folks to fire away at me, or to fire away at me and with you guys there to kind of help as well. So that's something that I've been thinking of a lot actually lately. Those are my 4 a.m. thoughts. Is that it would be good to get something like that going. So
Cool.
Okay.
And it's more on the, Betty.
Can I just ask a quick question? How many people do you have coming to Rose Baker on a daily basis? I mean, I'm sure it varies according to what the activities are.
yeah, it varies a lot. You know, bingo will fill the dining hall on bingo days, and it all depends on what the COVID numbers are too. So right now we're filling the dining hall again with bingo. When we had the Omicron surge, we only had like the hardcore diehard bingo folks were coming in. So yeah, that's the kind of data that I'd have to get from, you know, from my senior center. But I mean, it's on the busy days, it's well over 100. I mean, the days that we do when we have the mobile market where the open door comes here to offer groceries and folks can kind of shop, we're doing over 100 just for that. That's on Fridays once a month. You know, but a lot of our, like, you know, customers are repeat customers. I'd like to see our number of unique users go up, where we're getting, you know, some more people familiarized with this place. And it's interesting because finding a way to do that while still not alienating the regulars is a challenge. You know what I mean? But we have to find a way to make it work, because sometimes the fact that there are so many regulars can feel a little intimidating for a newcomer when they do come in. So
What's
that's
the circulation of the newsletter?
We send out about 900 of the newsletter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are people who you touch, around 900 people.
Yeah, and we have an email newsletter distribution list too that I've just been so busy that I haven't sent out an email blast lately, but that has about 1,500 email addresses. And we were getting about a 40% open rate on those emails when I was sending them regularly. Now I was utilizing that, of course, a lot more when we were closed, when I was looking for any way I could just reach out to seniors because we couldn't have them here in the building. Now that we're open, that consumes a lot more of my time, is the stuff that has to do with the fact that we're open now and I'm running an open senior center. So I haven't been able to utilize that communications channel, but I'm hoping that once I get past budget season and get some other things off my plate, that I'll get back to getting with a steady kind of drumbeat of getting those email blasts out to people.
Anything further on the subject going around the table before we move
One
on?
more thing, Fred.
Yeah, sure, Roseanne.
I have an aunt that's in Seacoast. She walks like a mile a day around the little circle and does all this stuff. She just can't function on her own. She used to come to the senior center all the time. I'm in Florida. I can't take her anywhere. Would we be able to use our bus? Our bus holds 9 people, and people that have contact the nursing home, obviously, and people that are as capable as she is, be able to bring them to bingo or bring them to the St. Patrick's party or bring them to the Easter dinner. And that would be 9 people that aren't stuck in that nursing home 24/7 on and on. Does that work?
Yes.
I would have to talk to Seacoast about that. I like it, Roseanne, you know what I mean? I think, yeah, I could talk to them about that. I mean, I'm the Friends of Seacoast too, so I do some fundraising for them. And the Friends, I know when I go to the Friends meetings and Allison, the activities director, reports out on what that money's being spent on that we raise. She quite often will talk about the fact that that money got a bus from Beauport to bring a bunch of the seniors from Seacoast to go, you know, in the fall to go just, you know, on a foliage tour or to go here and there. So if our van could do some of that stuff, then they could be provided with those popular opportunities a little bit more than the Friends of Seacoast money enables, you know what I mean?
Right.
And an attendant from Seacoast would come with them.
And an
That would be
attendant
nice.
could, yeah, for some of them, I think the attendant would be necessary, and I could talk to
And that would
Allison
be
about how that
important.
works. Yeah.
That'd
with
be
the-
important. Yeah, because yes.
But we would offer that naturally, then up to Gloucester Healthcare, if there's anybody that's appropriate. It wouldn't have to be, you know, just Seacoast. I tend to know about Seacoast because I work
No,
there,
it would,
and I still
you
fundraise.
could
for them.
rotate to the different nursing homes
Yeah.
and at
Yes.
least the opportunity would be there.
Bring them for a day. Fabulous.
Yeah, yeah, that's a
Love it.
great idea.
Good one, Roseanne. But then you got a list of good ideas today.
The
Okay.
brain's always going. It's a
Oh, I
curse.
know. Yeah, I know. Gary, yes.
Just a quick point. I've got to do a non-emergency pet transport to a vet. So I'm going to break from the meeting. I hope to be back shortly, but
Okay.
if I don't, I've got to get this transport out of the way.
Okay.
Good luck with the dog, Barry.
Thank you.
Good
Yeah.
luck. Thank you.
Okay. Always lovely to see him. Let's see, moving on, going around the table, anything before we move on? Okay, the Wise Middle Street Housing Project. I sent you around all that. That's 2 entrances that have been compromised by the change in the plans. It's the sort of stuff that I understand the method of how they went about getting Zoning Board of Appeals to give them permission to move, but it was presented in a way where I wish ZBA had asked them to postpone for a time until they might have inquired of this group, we, on the wisdom of doing this. They were presented with a host of things to approve, and they just went and did it and approved it. Now, I've not heard back from whoever it was that Deb Ellison passed our concerns to, but it's undeniable that a set of swinging double doors are being replaced by exactly what we are about to replace at the senior center on both levels. And I just, it concerns me, but I wondered how aggressive you want us as a group to be pursuing this. I mean, it's something that I'm prepared to take personally, because of ADA issues in the city. It was something that I've always advocated for. But do you want as a group to take any further action than the communication we've had thus far? Betty, are you?
Sure, I completely understand,
Yeah.
Fred. They're not going to be putting in the doors that you originally thought would work.
Yes.
So what are they planning on putting in?
What we are about to replace in the front of our building, which is a single door with a crash bar and a solid glass plate, limiting the width of egress to exactly 36 inches, which is the minimum standard for ADA. They are legal what they're wanting to do. There's no question of illegality. They are complying with ADA regulation, but it's the main entrance and egress for a housing project.
What was the opposition to what you originally wanted?
I presume money.
Can I speak to that, Fred? To just
Please.
encourage the board, if I may?
Yes.
I'm with you, Fred. I think it's critical that we, that I, as the Director of Elder Services, and hopefully backed up by the COA board, communicate that just because you can, because the law says you can and the zoning board of appeals says you can, does that mean you should? Wheelchair widths are, you know, you see more and more the wider ones. There's not that kind of standard width anymore. And not to mention, you know, if there were, Lord forbid, an emergency and people needed to get out of that building quickly, you know,
Yes.
again, it speaks to just because you can, is it the right thing to do? And maybe call on their better angels to say, okay, how bad, you know, how's that going to feel if something bad happens and people can't get out of that building quickly? Yeah, it worries me, and I would like to see some kind of statement made if we could figure out what it is appropriate to do about it.
I mean, it could be like Sisyphus if they'd already built them, and then we discovered what's this door here. But this is still on paper, and this is the time. Susan, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I think that this is the type of issue that we as a board and as a representative of the seniors in town, we really need to focus on, because even if the wheelchairs are narrow enough to get through the 36, a lot of them have these bags on the side and other things that make it much more difficult. And I think it's an issue that it's important we take a stand on.
Thank you. Well, we already have one motion for me to communicate our concern, and that was approved, and I acted on that, and it's in the correspondence with the lawyer who is representing the Y on this project, who is highly respected in this community, and she has acknowledged receipt of my concerns and has supplied us with the necessary technical schematic drawings to prove that our concerns are legit. If I could have, what's my next move?
That's what I'm wondering. Should we talk to
Suzanne?
the mayor's office about it, Fred? Oh,
Suzanne?
Suzanne, yeah.
No, could you
No.
meet with the city attorney and see if they have any ideas?
That's a good thought. Suzanne, what were you going to say?
Well, I would say you could send a letter to the mayor and the council, because they've got to go before the council for their permits.
Okay,
So to make the whole council and everyone aware of the concerns.
thank you. And going around the table, any thoughts on this, Betty? How I should respond? Betty Monroe?
Oh, well, I think, you know, at this point, it's become a safety issue. Are we going to be able to get people out of the building?
Yeah,
in-
it's, you know, it's something that we've never wanted to talk about here at the senior center, because it seemed that we were never going to be able to improve the door, and we didn't want to talk about this building being in any way unsafe. But now that we actually have a proposal that the mayor has approved and that funding is present, and we're waiting on the proverbial supply chain in order to be able to change the door to at least a slider, so that they're not dealing with the crash bar and the swinging thing in the dreadful weather and the wind. I do think we're in a stronger position to acknowledge the dangers involved in having such a narrow door. Felicia, what your organization's dealing with ADA issues all the time. Is there any particular direction you might point me in? How to?
All my stuff would be transportation people, like FTA, civil rights. And then like if I go look at like what we're legally required to do, it's gonna flip back to that 36 inch.
Yes. The
Let me
entrance
think about that
entrance to a bus is wider than 36 inches, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Right, but of course, it's one person at a time.
It's one person at a time and with, I mean, the van may be a little bigger, but on my big bus, if somebody comes on with, you know, a wheelchair with, you know, bags or the armrest on the side, I mean, they fit on, but it can be difficult for some customers to get on because they're gonna hit the door.
Yeah, so Susan, you're absolutely right. This, yeah,
Mhm.
this is raising my blood pressure, and I'm taking pills for the first time in my life to try to keep it down. Rosalie, any thoughts on this?
The YMCA owns that building, right?
Yes.
Still, yeah.
Anybody know anybody in the upper management of the Y? Anybody
No.
local? Who's the director of the Y? Is that a local person?
No,
Weren't
Weren't
it's
they
not.
looking for a new director? I
They're
thought they
looking for
were
somebody.
looking.
I know somebody that got headhunted for that position.
Did
but
they
she
hire
loves her
someone?
job, so she wasn't interested, but they're looking for somebody, but we've got to know people on the board. This, I think Julie might know people on the board. I can look into that.
Yeah, yeah.
Bobby Gillis.
Oh, Bob, is he on the board?
I think he was involved with their fundraising.
Is he?
Oh.
Betty, in your pursuit of pickleball, you were talking to people at the Y?
Yes, and I've left messages there a couple of times with no response as to what, how they could help me out or what they see down the line. So, but I think you're correct in that they have an interim director
Yeah.
at the Y at this point, so that could be part of the
If you have an
problem.
opportunity, please feel empowered to ask about this issue.
Okay.
All the members of the Council on Aging are, my job is administrative. And that's what the chairman does, but all the members of the Council on Aging with cooperative sense has speaking voice to speak on behalf. And if you have an opportunity, please do.
And what size doors are we looking for? They're going to put in a 36.
Whatever their plans originally called for, and they were suggested and recommended, I'm sure, by the architect.
Yeah.
At our senior center, the architect did not prescribe the door that we have. That was the building committee that did after they waved goodbye to the architect. As a cost-cutting measure, I just don't want to hear about cost-cutting measures with the one.
It's always about the money.
Yeah, Felicia, yes, please.
You know, and maybe you don't know, but do you know the difference between the costs? Like, are we talking a couple $1,000s or are we talking
No
big
idea.
money?
I have no
Okay.
idea. It's one of those things that people go down the list and what's this? Here's 2,000, let's cut it in half. Kind of behavior in budget meetings. I've been in budget meetings, where organizations where they cut off all the highest salaries, like there's no institutional history that gets lost by losing everybody who's been there for a while.
Right,
It's just
right.
nuts. No, it's
Okay.
cost cutting savings.
Okay.
And they also have a bird in the hand now with approved plans, and so they, I'm sure, are loath to reopen. It's like reopening union negotiations. Once you come to some conclusion, I see Felicia smiling. You don't want to go there anymore. You don't possibly have to. But I still think this is important enough. Okay, any more comments on this subject before me moving on?
Is there any action that the board feels that I should take, Fred? Is this something that I should at least have conversations with the mayor's office about?
Yes, please. I would say, anybody want to second that thought?
I will.
Yep, cool. Do we need to vote on that? Do we directing Elise to address this issue specifically with the mayor's office? I so move. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Susan. Is there any further discussion on the subject? All those in favor, we have to do by roll call. Betty,
Yes.
Felicia,
Yes.
Rosalie,
Yes.
Suzanne,
Yes.
Roseanne,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
and I say yes. Thank you. There you are, Elise. Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's see. The standards of independence and behavior. I took a stab at it, and I hoped softened it and also asked some additional information that would be helpful to staff, and also tried to use the word please instead of you will do. Does anybody wanted to tinker with the text that I've offered?
I'm sorry, I didn't get around to reading it. I just have a problem with things like that. It always seems to me that it's not going to make much difference. The people that you want to improve their behavior aren't going to pay any attention to it. And I think you alienate some people like me.
Yeah.
I just don't want.
That's why I agended it down. So should we move it up for, to the next month's agenda to give everybody a chance to reread it and really take it seriously, because I want to move and get this back into the file so that Elise has this document to work with if she needs it. This is not something that necessarily has to be hung from the rafters, but it
So
does show the support of the full council.
Okay, so I misunderstood. I thought this was something that new members had to sign.
No,
Okay.
I see it more as something that, if somebody is in flagrant violation of these things, again and again, if I get to the point, and I would never take it lightly, you know what I mean? If I got to the point where I had to say, you are no longer welcome here, for us to be able to point to a document and say, see, this is our standards, and it's posted right here, it's hung up on the wall, and you violated this one, and this one. And it says right there that if you violate these ones, you might be, just something that kind of gives us that ability to say, this is how we've told you what the expectation is. Should I need to, take any action, which hopefully doesn't happen, but.
Okay,
I have
I
a
totally misunderstood. Is that something we might want to also add and post on the website when we get that up, and so that it's publicly aware?
I would say only if you are pleased with the way it reads. How's that?
I had a chance to
Yeah, I
look
will
it
read
over.
it, and then
Thank
I'll talk about it next meeting.
Okay, Betty, yes, what were you going to say?
I did have a chance to look it over, and, I don't see anything that's here that's threatening to anybody. We're just saying, we want you to all be respectful of each other when
Yeah.
you're here. This is a community, a place where we can all get together and enjoy playing bingo or having lunch or doing. So I don't see this as threatening at all. And it might be something that's worthwhile to post somewhere.
Okay,
So
So,
that people,
Roseanne, what were you going to say?
I agree. I think making a poster that has bright colors, maybe a few caricatures, something very light, and put the poster with expectations, that might reach.
Good. Okay, then how about I move this forward to the next month's agenda with the intention then of voting on its approval of the language.
Okay.
And anybody who has any suggestions for changing the language, please don't hesitate to pass it either to Elise or to me, and I will include it and send it round as edited copy during the month so that we have really a document to work on until the next meeting. What are we going to say now, Susan?
Well, I liked that proposal of a poster, and maybe it's something we could get Junie involved in, because she's so good at doing things that make it sort of like a something that's friendly,
Yeah. Yeah. I know, but that is my goal, certainly. I don't want anything that is has a punitive tone to it.
Okay,
Or
sorry,
school.
I was out of line. I should have.
Well,
paid
you are
more
not out of line. You got enough to do. You got dogs. Let's see. Anything further on this subject before we move on? Okay. The director's report.
Director's report, where are my notes? Oh my goodness. Well, even without my notes, I gotta say that lunches are going great. So we're back to having Senior Care's congregate meal program has resumed on Mondays and Wednesdays. And depending on what the menu item is, that dictates attendance a little bit. But I mean, so far we've already had one day where I think people were particularly pleased about the menu choice of a pepper steak sub, and we had like 40 people signed on for that, and it only just started. So we started with Monday and Wednesday thinking that we would add Tuesday as soon as we saw if there were any wrinkles that need to be ironed out. We do need some additional volunteers for that program. We need some people to help serve. If anybody on the board is interested or knows anyone who might be interested in coming in on a regular basis. I have been seeing some more people who have been expressing interest in volunteering, which is very heartening. And I got to try to, again, get some more other things, time sensitive things off my plate. Ha 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 with the plate thing with food. But anyway, but so that I can get back to some of those folks and see if they might be some of our, servers. But Rosalie, yeah, Did you
So,
want to wait till I'm done, or
Monday and Wednesday, you have a lunch, right? Is that what you just said?
it's senior
And you
cares
make the
congregate
sand,
lunch.
you make the sandwich there, or is it still a bagged lunch?
No, Mondays and Wednesdays is Senior Cares Congregate Lunch Program, which is the lunch program that we always had before COVID. Before the COVID closure with that industrial caterer food that comes from Trio. It arrives warm and it gets, just plated and served
Okay.
to folks. So, and
How many
that's Monday and
people-
Wednesday. We're gonna add Tuesday to that too. So
How many people have you had participate in that?
it depends, and I don't sign those people up. They call Richard, who's the new Josie. So,
Yep.
okay, so they call him directly, and Senior Care, handles all of that. They call him by like 10 o'clock the day before to sign on for the next day. But I do know that I heard from Paula on one of those days, where she said, hey, we got 40 people tomorrow. We need some help. So that, got me going with, I need to find some volunteers. It's catching on. It's going to be gaining steam. We're going to add Tuesday, so that we're going to have Senior Care providing congregate lunch on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And we are going to keep open door lunch on Thursday, which is the bag sandwich and the soup. And we're going to add Friday with another bag sandwich and soup from the open door. So we're going to have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday congregate lunch from Senior Care, Thursday, Friday, the Rosie's picnic lunch from the open door. And that was one of the things that I had kind of heard from the scuttlebutt that I heard around here, was that when Senior Care resumed their meal, that the seniors were quite concerned, and a rumor had started that the open door lunch was going away. And that was a great cause of concern. People were not happy about that. And I, of course, got the word out that couldn't be further from the truth. We were actually adding another day of the open door lunch. But that was really good for me to hear, to know that the seniors liked the open door lunch so much that they were bummed out, thinking that it was going to go away. So I have assured everybody that it's not going away. We're going to be able to do Senior Care Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and open door on Thursday, Friday, until we get to the point where we can employ the new model, where Senior Care and open door are one and the same, because Senior
Right.
Care will be using them.
And I'm working also resurrecting the salad bar.
Thank you for working.
They
Resurrection
love
Salad
that.
Bar, Fred. Yeah, to go with the Senior Care days, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday days, where it is that industrial food, which can be awful sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes it's okay, but sometimes it can be really awful.
Yes.
So,
Elise,
yeah, did you have a
Elise,
question?
When you
Rosalie, go
say
ahead.
senior care, you mean Senior Care pays that company to bring that food in, correct?
We do, but that's also a meal where there is a voluntary $2 per meal donation.
Yeah.
Where my understanding is that in the past is that Josie had been a little bit aggressive in kind of in making that less voluntary than it should have felt for people. So we've devised a new system to make that not even ask, to make it just a softer, the opportunity to voluntarily contribute that money. That's handled differently now. But the Thursday and Friday ones, there is not even any mention of money, which is great. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's Senior Care that organizes that. They're the ones that pay for the food. And then they kind of organize it and offer it here at our senior center.
Rosalie,
Is that similar to the Meals on Wheels that are delivered by Senior Care?
The same exact food. It's just that
Okay.
instead of getting it delivered to you in your home, you're getting to
Yeah.
have it here with some opportunity to socialize over lunch as well, Betty. So, yeah.
Rosalie, what were you going to say?
Now, when Josie was there, did we have volunteers to help Josie serve that meal?
We did.
We did?
Yeah, so I'm
We
gonna
did?
try to reach back out to some of the prior volunteers to see if they're interested in doing it again. And like I said, we've got some new folks too that I still need to kind of follow through with. But right
When we
now, I'm
work,
consumed
when
with
when we
budget
work with
stuff.
Open Door, they have a bank of volunteers that they draw on. So they would send a paid staff person who was probably ServSafe certified to oversee the salad bar and the soup, and then have a volunteer or two sent by Open Door to restock and to deliver to tables and stuff like that. So once we get up, particularly if we have a second day with Open Door, we will have a steadier supply of volunteer people to come for the meals program as a whole.
The man that works there now that took Josie's place, he serves it, correct?
I believe so, yes.
I don't know, but I'd imagine so. I can ask him
Well-
today, Rosalie, make sure.
Well, if he isn't, he has to be.
Yeah,
And if you're looking for volunteers, how much time are we talking about? Like if I wanted to volunteer on a Monday, is it 1 hour? Is it more than that?
It would be about an hour, Rosalie. It would be about from maybe, 11:15 till about 12 or 12:30 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
That meal was never popular before. I'm glad to hear that it's popular and people liked it.
Depends on what the menu item is, you know what I mean? I think people know what they can trust to an industrial caterer and what they can't. The cheesesteak with pepper day was big, smelled okay, you know what I mean? But there are other things that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot
you
pole.
haven't lived until you've seen baked fish baked at 5:30 and eaten at noon.
So,
Wow.
the open door, the second day of the open door is starting this Friday. So this Friday will be the week that, this is the
Yeah.
week that we're starting with the second open door day.
The Sultan Boca was another winner too.
Oh.
Susan, yes.
What exactly do you need the volunteers to do? Just to serve the food or?
So,
Serving pickup?
yeah, Richard plates the food and kind of passes it out the window. I just need folks that can have gloves on and just bring it to people at the tables
And clean up,
and clean up. Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun gig.
Okay, anything
So wait,
else?
the rest of my director's report is that I just want to let everybody know that Julie Smith has started shine training. Yay! So I'm very excited about that. I'm gonna have to lose Julie once a week now through June 3rd. She'll be away getting shine trained for one whole day once a week. Which is a bummer to lose her, because of the other wonderful things that she does here, but it's great that she's getting shine trained. We're excited about that. Yoga is back. I gotta say, I have the most amount of egg on my face from a newsletter that I've ever had. I have on my face from this newsletter in April because I said that things were gonna happen on the 18th, and wait, we've got the 18th off. So we're gonna be closed on the 18th. So I had to put a flyer in with some corrections, and I spelled Dr. Bodnard's name wrong, and oh my goodness, I got some egg on my face with the April one. But we do have yoga back. That's going to be resuming on Monday, the 25th. We'll offer yoga again,
Good.
which is going to be fantastic. And we have a great presentation. The presentation that's lined up on I think it's the 21st. It's in the newsletter with Dr. Andrea Bodnar from GMGI, who's going to come over and talk about what it is that goes on over there. And she's going to talk about her research about how particularly long-lived sea creatures, what they're trying to do to relate some of that to aging well in humans. And I'm already getting some good response to that with people who have called and asked me to email them out the links to her research publications, and people who really want to do some background reading on it and be ready to participate in her talk. So I'm excited about that. And also just to let everybody know that, once again, May is Older Americans Month. I don't know if it's too quick to try to pull it together. I mean, but I wondered if maybe as the culmination of Older Americans Month, and because it's also would be the Friday before Memorial Day weekend, maybe we could revive the ice cream social idea.
I was
I
just
think
gonna say that.
I think that would be a great thing. Celebrate, culminate Older Americans Month, kick off our summer. What kicks your summer off like ice cream? So I don't know if my R squared duo, who I think would be my go-to on that, could leap into action on that. But I think that if we could get the ice cream social idea going to say to everybody the Friday before Memorial Day weekend, hey, we had a great Older Americans Month, and we're going to have a great summer. I would love to see if we could look into that.
Yes, Rosalie.
So Elise, are you thinking like on a Friday? The
I
Friday?
think the Friday,
We have the
yeah.
mobile mart. We have the mobile mart on that day. So that means we'd have a good turnout. We
Fabulous.
could do that.
Yeah,
Right,
so
Ro?
I think so. Is the mobile mart, wait a minute, I'm trying to find my calendar, Rosalie.
Yeah,
because the
yeah,
mobile
I'm
mart
looking
is
right at it.
Okay, so there's
The
only
fourth
4
Friday.
Fridays in May? It's the
Yeah.
4th Friday, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So why don't me, you and Roseanne meet when Ro gets back?
yeah, when are you back, Roseanne?
The
May
10th.
10th.
May 10th, okay, yeah, maybe we
That's
could.
plenty of time.
Is it plenty of time? Well, we need to determine a couple details just so I can get it into the May newsletter. So that would some things would need to be nailed down before the
Need a
21st.
maze.
But we
Yeah.
can do that. The three of us can just email or do a
Or
Zoom or
Zoom
something,
meeting,
and figure
whatever,
out enough,
yeah.
enough to get it in the
Cool.
newsletter. And then we can work on, all the rest of it when Roseanne comes back.
Awesome.
Progress. Anything else on the subject before I
Ice
move on?
cream. Get progress. We're talking ice cream, Fred.
So the reason I stay awake at night is for my eyes.
Okay. and
Okay,
yeah, that's
let's
it, I think.
see. Friends of the Council on Aging meeting. I had an interesting meeting with Jill Cahill and the mayor briefly, and Howard Frisch and Meredith Fine, and things are working along there. There are issues and all, but nothing that I need to go into any detail with here. But let's just say it was a productive meeting, and we're trying to see more light than tunnel in order to work well with the Friends. Suzanne, anything further you want to add in terms of being liaison with the Friends?
Well, a couple things. I don't know, like when Jay doesn't go to the meetings, so I would like to know so I can show up if he's not available.
Okay.
A couple months ago, I had an email conversation with Howard about it would be helpful to get agendas or minutes of their meetings
Yeah.
to be aware what's going on, and Howard thought it was a good idea, but I've not seen anything, so I feel out of the loop.
Okay. I will weave that into further conversations that I've been having in order to really make it official that both of you should be contacted so that either one of you at the last minute can defer it and get what's going on. Because it is
Right.
Yes,
Thank you.
Rosalie. Rosalie.
Well,
yeah.
why can't we make Suzanne the liaison and Jay the alternative? Because Jay has a lobster business, and with the summertime coming, he'll be busy. And Suzanne, if she can't make it, she will get in touch with Jay. Or a second alternative, like I'm sure Roseanne would love to do it, or someone else. And put Suzanne as the liaison, first person to go, because she would go. She has a less busier schedule. That's what I'm saying.
Fine. But without objection, I'll make a switch on the.
Right, Roseanne? Right, Suzanne? You're not mad, right?
No.
Betty,
I'm
the other
sure
reason
Jada-
you're not appointed is that you're sitting there, and if you'd gone out of the room, you'd be it. Okay. Thank you for the suggestion, Rosalie, and I will do that. I will flip that, and I'm sure Jay will be okay with that.
So can I ask a question on the newsletter masthead? I've always included Jay as a member of the Friends of the Council on Aging. Is Jay a voting member, or does he just go to those meetings ex officio representing the COA board and liaising as the representative from the board? Or does anyone know, like, is he a voting member of the Friends, or?
He may be both. He may be both. I don't know.
Okay.
How do the Friends list him on their masthead? As a member?
Yeah, on the newsletter masthead, he's listed as a member.
Then they must count him in order to make some sense of what they need for a quorum.
Yeah, I mean, I've had fairly recent discussions with Howard about some changes that he had requested to the way things were listed on that masthead. So it's not something that's just kind of a legacy thing that hasn't had Howard's eyes recently. His eyes have looked at it and paid attention to it fairly recently.
Okay.
And Jay is listed as just a member of the Friends.
Okay, well, I don't know how that works.
Okay, just curious.
Let's see. New business. Lord knows we talk about a lot of stuff. I don't know. Is there anything that we haven't discussed that you want? Pickleball, it will be new business. PICKLE, Paul?
PICKLEBALL.
Pickleball will be on the next agenda under new business. Anything else for new business? Okay, the building facility of equipment. The water line to the refrigerator, bless it, is connected, and the machine is doing its number, giving free filtered Gloucester water to all takers in the Great Hall. And I do appreciate DPW for doing that, because it wasn't simple. They had to snake lines through the ceilings and stuff. But the refrigerator is there and all its glory, but again, with appreciation to the Friends for paying for that machine. The ovens and the American Standard range still have to be installed and connected and whatnot, but I had a meeting in person with Michael Hale, and we've decided that we're going to meet more frequently in person than we thought we needed to in order to get stuff like that done. One thing I would ask all of us is that if you have something that you want to have done that you believe DPW should do it, please filter that either through me or through Elise, rather than turning and simply saying to somebody as they walk by, would you mind putting in a light bulb? Because apparently, particularly in this, if I could say this mildly off the record, particularly in the school department, it's been driving them nuts. As a custodian or DPW person walks down the hall, people grab them and ask them to do things, presuming that they have time to do it, and they don't. And DPW people are working really flat out hard and need something of a buffer between requests and being tasked for doing things. So Michael has asked me particularly to be diligent on how it is that I communicate with DPW and the ticketing system, but more often than not, please filter things, at least until things simmer down there, through him. And so I've agreed to do that even on some of the simplest tasks. If it's not something that Elise can ask the custodian to do, which should not be abridged, her ability to ask the custodian, it's not what I'm talking about, but things that ordinarily you might, if you saw an electrician, you'd ask him to do something. Please, we have to do that through a ticketing system. Okay. Great. Let's see. Page 3. Anything further on facility before I move on? The upgrade computer training program. Wow. I can say I had a meeting with the mayor and also Ryan Knowles. And I've given them better part of a week to go through Gonzalo's plans. They flipped. Just really delighted with this. However, this will be a project that is being led by Ryan Knowles, the city's IT director. He will be enfolding this whole project into IT's responsibility for maintenance, oversight, and also technological improvements and upgrades and whatnot. The operation of the facility will be folded into their budget, so that if we're going to make improvements as dramatic as this, which they're wholly in favor of, Ryan wants to have control over the quality of the equipment that is purchased, uniformity of systems and things of that nature, so that he can really fully integrate the entire system in. That doesn't have anything to do with the teaching component. That remains here with us, but the capability of their system. For example, I didn't know that our computer technology center has its own Wi-Fi. It's independent of any other Wi-Fi in the city, has its own routers and whatnot. Unfortunately, they mounted it directly over the cast iron slop sinks. So most of the power of it goes into the sink instead of into the rest of the building, but it is an independent system. So that kind of stuff will go away. And we will have lightning fast internet and capabilities for really utilizing the technology center, as Elise really wrote a very fine overview that the mayor and got to read on the capabilities of what we'll be able to accomplish in that room in terms of its utilization, not only for classes, but also just lectures and presentations, all kinds of stuff that can go on there in a more intimate setting that you might have rather than in the Great Hall. So for Gonzalo is, boy, he's really hit an ace. Yeah, and he's also met a couple of times with Ryan, and the two of them are already very fond of each other, and I'm sure they will work well together. So we're just really in a strong position there. The thrill, it's really cool.
Yeah.
The money part, Elise, want to talk about that?
Yeah, thank you, Fred. So, so yeah, we, it looks like we've got, about a $10,000 gap that we need to address to make it all come to fruition, to get the space up to to kind of the specifications that, that have been provided by Ryan and by the professional designer who donated his services to, you know, do in a professional way that the room would be laid out, and he made furniture recommendations. So we've got about a $10,000 gap to do it up to spec. We've got about a $15,000 gap to do it like, wow, with like, you know, incredible sound system and incredible digital photo lab capabilities and stuff like that. So we're trying to bridge that gap through, I think I had mentioned to the board previously that some folks from Brace Cove Foundation had reached out to me and said, hey, we're thinking about including your organization as one of the ones that we send a request for an RFP to for their next round of grant funding. And they did send me an RFP, and I got them a concept paper to try to encourage them to see their way clear to be in the folks who fill that gap for us. And we asked for the 15,000 so that it could be with all the extra awesome, incredible bells and whistles, even though the 10,000 is still going to be an incredible improvement to that room. So we fingers are crossed on them. The next step in that would be for them, if that concept paper gets us to the next step, would be to fill up, it would be a whole, you know, full-blown proposal with more detail to the budget and stuff like that. So I'm waiting to hear back from them on that, but that had to be to them by April 1st, and that had kind of been consuming me. So some of these other things that I say I haven't had the time to get to, it was, you know, it goes like get the newsletter in, and then I went right to getting that Brace Cove thing submitted, and now I'm in the midst of getting ready for the budget meeting on Monday. So but it's, you know, it's amazing. And being in the room with Gonzalo and with Ryan, and Ryan brought one of his team members over who is particularly good at procurement, and just the way that we're all working together. And my thanks to you, Fred. Fred and I are a good team. I feel like I wrote a really good concept paper, sent it over to Fred, and he made minimal edits, but they were so impactful and so good. The small edits that Fred made tighten that concept paper up so much more. So I'm really hoping that we get that we submitted a strong enough paper to be invited to the next round. If not, we'll find a way. I mean, you know, we'll find a way, and hopefully the dawn of a new day with having better relations with the Friends can help us to work hand in hand with them to do some fundraising that would be targeted specifically for that, to bring that program to fruition, because it has to happen. That room is just it's underutilized space, and the improvement's going to be dramatic. You know, the PR opportunities to get that out, you know, when it does come to fruition, to get more people's eyes on what we have here at the senior center via that room will just bring so many good things. So
really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything more on that subject before we move on? All right. Let's see. Elise, where are we with the AED machine?
I have to revisit that, Fred. I had Chief Smith, Fire Chief Smith, had sent out an email to a bunch of different departments who all have AEDs, and he had said that he had been getting some inquiries about them from disparate departments, and he thought that they should be more involved in kind of standardizing that and helping each of the departments to get the same piece of equipment, and maybe even doing a bulk purchase that might be better for everybody. So that's something I got to circle back to and kind of revisit that email string and see where that was left, and reach back out to Chief Smith and see where, you know, what the next step is on that.
Yeah, put it on his plate. Exactly, and then he can deal with it once, and we will all be satisfied.
Yeah.
Cool. Does the library know about this inquiry?
I can look on the distribution list and see if Jenny was on there, Fred. Yeah.
If not, would you please just drop her a line?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, anything further on the AED before? All right. Whiteboards, Suzanne?
Yeah, I emailed Mike Hale on March 17th with the information on the whiteboards we wanted.
Yep.
So now it's been a couple weeks.
Yep.
I haven't heard anything back from him.
Okay.
I thought I would wait till next week and then send another email to see where we stand.
Fine. Yeah. Please, you don't feel you need to wait till the next meeting if you don't get a reply, because again, I'm trying to keep a line open to Michael, and it's just one more subject I could put on my list. I have 15-minute appointments with him, which is first thing in the morning, which works well for both of us. And
Mhm.
I get a lot said in 15 minutes with my tight edits.
Yeah. No, I was surprised. I thought I'd hear back because I had a good relationship with Mike when I worked
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
it's just,
city.
it's just busy. Yes, Roseanne.
And I have to apologize. I have a luncheon to go to, so I need to excuse myself, but it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see everyone.
Thank you,
As usual,
Roseanne.
I'll
you've
be
been a
in
major-
touch.
you've been a major contributor at this meeting, Roseanne.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for attending.
Can I
Thank
say
you, dear.
something before Roseanne leaves?
Yeah.
Please?
Please.
Elise, if we get a flyer out to you, Roseanne and I are working on a flyer about the plant sale. Can you put it in the next newsletter?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
That'd be good, right, Ro?
Oh, that'd be fabulous.
Great. Yep.
Okay, great.
Consider it done.
Good idea.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye, Roseanne.
Bye, see you
Have a
later.
good time.
Bye.
Okay,
Thanks.
I do have almost nothing to, unfortunately, or maybe nothing's been taken away. At the last meeting with Michael, he had a list of projects that both he and I thought had been approved and funded and whatnot. But apparently, at least as a courtesy with the new administration, everything is being reviewed with the presumption that the answer will continue to be yes, unless something egregious is hanging out there. So he had a list in front of him of some half a dozen different projects, most of which we're reflecting on here at the senior center. But coming down to some very serious money when you talk things up. And Michael said he would drop me a line if there was anything that was removed from his list. And like Suzanne, I'll have to presume that silence means that actually things are moving forward. So, but supply chain is still this issue. And we are a lonely senior center out there looking for one generator as opposed to larger organizations looking for many. And the one that we had lined up for us with our name on it, necessarily DPW had to use it on a pumping station that failed. So that we can't consider ourselves the highest priority, but I sure as hell want this up and running before the heat of the summer comes, in order to be an effective cooling station for people, particularly if we're going to be building up our meals program as well. That means that we are asking more and more people to come in, be in the building, and we really need to have a reliable power source in order to pull that off on a whole number of levels. And I don't have to preach that. That's the reason that all along the line, this project at some considerable expense. Last time I looked, it was going to be $85,000 has been approved. But Michael said that yes, everything was approved, but that was under the former administration, so he has to go through a process again. And I presume it also ties into what Elise is doing from a budgetary standpoint, as to which budget we're drawing money out of, because everything's being delayed. So, money that's appropriated for this year's budget is probably going to turn into a pumpkin and has to be reappropriated for the following year, because they're not allowed to roll things over.
Right.
Do at home.
And,
So,
and the inflation is just incredible everywhere too, Fred. Yeah.
Yes. So if there's anything under the DPW projects part of the agenda that anybody wants to bring up, otherwise I'll just pass on it and I carry it all over each month, much like a diary, so that we can talk about stuff as it comes up. Items for the next agenda. Anything that we haven't already talked about that we would want to put on as an item? Pickleballs is there.
Ice cream
That's
social.
Ice cream social, yes, thank you. And that's the fourth Friday in May, is that right?
That's what we're thinking about.
The
Cool.
date is May 27th.
May 27th. And last time it was the Open Door that came up with the ice cream folks, isn't that correct?
Yeah, Roseanne and I went down, we talked to the Open Door, and we also talked with the Friends.
Cool,
So, we'll take charge on that.
sweet.
And Fred, should we put something on there on the agenda to keep talking about the, like a town meeting or a listening session or some kind of opportunity for us to let everybody know a little bit more about what's in the works?
Would you
And
want
to
to put
give-
that, we have that under the heading of using the senior center Zoom platforms as a polling system. We change that heading or put it within that same subject?
Maybe tweak that heading, or maybe just tweak that heading a little bit, Fred.
Fine.
to-
Fine. Wait, if you give me a one-liner of what you think would be appropriate, and I can take it from there. We'll build on it.
Okay, yeah, let's figure that out when we go
I need
back
to
and
talk
forth
with
with
you
the
anyway.
agenda.
We have a host of things. Okay, let's see. The next meeting that we, under tabled items, we have staff remote workstation and install the sliding panels in the Great Hall. Anybody have anything to say on that subject? I still carry it on each agenda, so it's not going away. It's just, it hasn't reached priority enough to actually be on the agenda. Okay, next meeting that we have is first Tuesday, which will be May the 3rd, 9:30 a.m. and until we have the possibility of, what's the term they use for meetings?
Hybrid.
Hybrid.
Yeah.
It'll be another Zoom on May the 3rd. Sorry, Rosalie. Yes, Susan.
I just have a question for Elise. Elise, should I add yoga to the ongoing activities list? And is that something we might want to post on Facebook so that the list would be out there as an interim sort of thing?
Is that my,
Yeah, sure. That sounds great, Susan. Yep.
is that
Okay,
my,
I'm sorry.
who posts on, I don't do Facebook.
I do. I take care of the Facebook post, Fred, and the yoga, by the way, Susan, is not gonna start until the 25th. And so starting on Monday, April 25th, we will have yoga.
Okay.
But yeah, but when we do get that yoga in place, it would be great to post about it and use it as an opener to provide the link to the full listing that you'll have.
Oh, that's great.
Great.
That's a good idea. Okay.
Betty, the last thing that we do, I go around the table, each person, on any subject that's on the agenda that we've already closed off, if there's any thoughts that you've had occur to you, this is your time to speak on anything that's on the agenda before we adjourn. Is there anything that you'd like to comment on?
I don't think so. It's been an interesting meeting. I feel like I'm just kind of getting my feet wet here.
Yeah.
If anybody needs any help with anything, whether it's going to the open door, as you know, I've volunteered there for many, many years, so I know a lot of the people there, a lot of the contact
Okay.
people. Please feel free to touch base with me and let me help in any way.
Well,
So-
if you have an opportunity to express, as we have earlier, our real admiration for how well we are treated by them, do you pass that along? I'm going to follow up with a note to Julie and to Jen, but an in-person thank you from you with people at Open Door would be really terrific.
Okay, I will, I'll follow up with that. I talked to Julie probably 2 weeks ago, just to explain that I had been, I'm now on the board here.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't probably be around the open door as often as I was, but I'm certainly, I'm happy to go in and talk to Julie and thank her
Great.
for everything that she does.
Thank you. Susan, anything on your mind that you want to talk about before we adjourn?
But no, except that, Elise, if you need a volunteer on as a server at the last minute, would you be willing? I'd be very willing to do that. I don't feel I can commit to every single week, but if you find you have more people than you need and you need somebody at the end, just let me know and I'll be happy to do it.
That sounds great, Susan, because that's the way it might unfold, is that on one of those menu days where everybody knows that that's one of the things that Trio does well, the number spikes up and then we need help. So I'll keep that in mind.
I will fall in that category as well.
Okay, thank you.
like
I would be available as well also.
Awesome.
Good.
Thank you, guys.
Felicia, anything you want to comment on before we adjourn?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm good.
Okay. Rosalie?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to say welcome to Elizabeth and thank you so much. And Roseanne and I will be doing the ice cream social. Am I on? Yeah.
Oh,
And
no.
Roseanne is away. I thought maybe you and I could work on it together if you'd like to help me. We go to the open door, we see what they can volunteer, give us for ice cream. Whatever they can't give, we'll go to the Friends, see if they'll give us money and we'll buy different things, maybe toppings and things like that. And Roseanne and I also volunteer a lot at the open door. So if you want to give me your email, I can send you an email and maybe we can meet at the open door and see if they'll help us.
Sure, I would love to do that.
Perfect.
I'm not sure if I have your email either.
You'll see it on the heading of my communication with you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's there.
Okay, I'll be in
Suzanne,
touch.
anything on-
Thank you.
on
Thank
mind
you so
before we
much.
adjourn? Suzanne, anything on your mind before we
Couple
adjourn?
things.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to my contact at the Times about running the volunteer thing under the
Thank you.
KPM business.
Yeah,
And I will see Bobby Gillis at a meeting Thursday night. And I will ask him if he's involved with the Y and express our concerns.
thank you. See, this is why we meet, guys. Honestly, it really is wonderful. It's really wonderful. Elise, any last word before we adjourn?
You guys rock. That, I feel like these, usually a 2-hour meeting, I'd be like, oh God, kill me. But it's just so great because things are, good things are happening and some of them have a long timeline, but we're making good things happen. So thank you all so much.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Suzanne. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Betty. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. We're not going to do it roll call. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Have a great
Bye, one and
day.
all.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.